You both ended up working for one of the best chefs in the world, David Thompson. How did you guys find the working atmosphere?
Chaotic. David is like a crazy genius in a way. He really feeds off chaos.
On the show today, we have a powerhouse duo. The owners, no less, of the famed Bo.Lan in Bangkok, Chef Bo and Chef Dylan. But how do you see the future of dining within the Middle East?
I think it's only going to get better. I mean, from what I've seen.
Welcome back to the Chef JKP Podcast. And on the show today, for the first time ever, we have a powerhouse duo. The owners, no less, of the famed Bo.Lan in Bangkok, Chef Bo and Chef Dylan. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So, first things first, as we always ask the guests on here, can you tell me your favorite or first childhood food memory? And we'll have to go with ladies first.
Well, for me, it would be Chinese clear soup from Dad. And Dad cooked so many different type of soup, or Chinese style, or clear. And that is like my soul and comfort food.
Are you still cooking it to this day?
Yes.
And for yourself, Dylan?
I was quite young, maybe 3 or 4, and Mum and Dad were throwing a dinner party, and there was a bowl of red sauce on the table, and I thought, tomato sauce, and I dunked my hand in it, and Mum's like, you have to eat it now. And I did, and it was chili sauce. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're still a fan of chili sauce.
I love chili now, but I didn't touch it for a few years. Yeah.
Right. So then for Bo, during your time sort of growing up as a teenager, what were the sort of foods that you were eating?
Oh, everything. Like my dad's Taiwanese, so I ate a lot of Taiwanese. My mom is like Thai Chinese, so like there is a little bit of mix between the Thai, the Chinese, the really Thai, and because my parents travel a lot as well, so we get to eat like Western food, Japanese, and it's everything.
One thing I wanted to ask you in particular is, so as I'm sure you're aware, in the Western cultures there is no chili. As kids growing up.
Right.
But when did your parents start to introduce you to hot chili, spice, things like this?
I think the chili just on the table forever. And then when you're ready, like I don't dunk my hand like him. I try here and there. But it's really different because I ate really spicy since the young age. But my brother and my family of 5, my brother and my older sister, they don't eat spicy at all.
Oh.
Like sweet chili is too spicy for them already. But for me and the others, it's like really spicy.
And I'm assuming that your level of tolerance is quite high.
Just
okay. And Dylan, for yourself, what were the types of foods that you had when you were growing up?
I mean, Australia's pretty multicultural, so we had a lot of influence from like European foods and stuff like that. But then as well, we're also quite isolated, so a lot of meat pies. We're famous for our meat pies. Mum used to cook really great soufflés, actually. So I used to have really good like soufflés, but
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Very
pretty
lucky.
cool, man.
Yeah, my mum's a great cook, so we had some great food, and she always tried to offer different cuisines, had some Asian sort of influences, but like nothing authentic, let's say, but everything was flavorful and good.
And which part of Australia did you grow up in?
Canberra.
Oh, wow.
actually.
Okay. So the capital.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very quiet place to live. Great for raising young families, not so fun after you hit about 15.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
You make your own fun.
Yes. Yeah. So then, Bo, your educational path, were you looking to culinary straight away, or were you looking into something completely different?
Oh, I always have my heart in the culinary, but my mom disagree. We are sleeping Asians. Uh, but then at the end, I end up going to Gold Coast in Australia to do Bachelor in Business in Restaurant Management.
Wow.
Not cooking per se, but that the closest thing that my mom would accept. Yeah, and then after that, I did my MA in gastronomy with Adelaide University.
Oh, so you did spend quite a bit of time in Australia.
Yeah, but I didn't meet him there.
Okay, interesting. And so during that time when you were doing your degree, were you also working in restaurants?
I work part time as the food attendant, but then I cook for all my friends. That's like my main jobs there. Like I don't drive, they do drive, and if they want to eat, they have to drive me to the supermarket.
Very nice. I like it. It's a quite good swap. But then I want to ask you, going from your hometown to Australia, was it a huge culture shock, or was it what you expected?
Well, I'm sure the culture shock is there, but because I went to the uni in Thailand, study Shakespeare for 2 years, like literatures and arts, and
Wow.
and it's not. I know that I don't really want to do that. So when I have a chance to do something else, I just jump into it. So in Australia, even there is a shock, I adapt really quickly. Yeah, and I have fun with all the Australians ingredients and the availabilities that they have there, because as he said, it's the melting pot. So there is cuisine that I never see, like Lebanese, like other things that is like a little bit more, how do you say that, less known, especially when you live in Thailand. Yeah, so have a lot of fun.
Wow, that's really cool. But did you also teach your friends about spices and
Oh yes, oh yes.
somebody you didn't like, give them a bit extra spice?
I live with Japanese roommate, Maki, and she, like when we first moved in together in the apartment, because I cook all the times, and then she's like, "Oh, this is spicy," so like I sort of dumb it down for her. But at the end of the semester, she probably can eat spicy as much as I can. And every midterms and every times that the exams come in, I cook more spicy, because when you straight, your body crave for more spice.
Oh,
Yeah, so
interesting.
at the end, she's as good as me.
and Dylan, for yourself, did you automatically want to go into culinary, or did you take a different path?
I wasn't really good at school. Well, wasn't good at school. I just didn't enjoy being at school. So I went into like home economics, and I chose all the elective subjects that weren't really school. And I loved it. And then when I decided to leave school, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to travel. So I've tried to find a job that allowed me that travel. So I applied for a cooking school. And then within the cooking school, I got a job at a restaurant, and the restaurant there was pretty crap, and I didn't really learn that much. And then I moved to Melbourne, and then I had a head chef there who really opened my eyes to food. And that's when I really started to develop a passion for it and started to try new things and more things and wanted to broaden my horizons.
So when you were in Melbourne, for those people who are not aware, Melbourne is the culinary capital of Australia, a lot of people would say.
I would agree with that.
So that must have been, as you said, incredibly eye-opening.
Yeah.
But also the culture of dining and chefs around that time must have been quite exciting, because there's a lot going on back then.
Yeah, it was a real like boom period for Melbourne. There was a lot of big chefs coming through or have made names for themselves. And I think it was sort of just the perfect opportunity for me, living in a bigger city from Canberra, which is quite quiet, and being exposed to so many different cuisines, and then just learning so much. I was like, okay, now I really want to... I got passionate about food. I started eating out more. I started going to the market more, cooking at home more, and just really developed a love for cooking.
So then what I want to sort of understand from the two of you is that you both ended up in London.
Yeah.
You both ended up working for what I would say one of the best chefs, not just within Thai cuisine, but generally one of the best chefs in the world, David Thompson. Now, tell me about that journey. So now I know you were there both for 3 years. So when did you make the jump? Did you automatically go from Australia to London, or did you go back home first and then to the UK?
I'll go back home first during my dissertations period. And then I met Amanda Gill, who's another Aussie chef how do you call that, guide by Neil
Neil
Perry. And she knows that I'm doing the dissertation on Thai food, so she introduced me to David Thompson.
Wow.
Yeah, to be one of my basically advisories on my dissertations. Yeah.
Amazing is that?
A white guy telling a Thai person.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll be with Amanda for like a year and a bit. And then I asked whether I can go to Europe because I want to explore more things. And she's just like, you're Thai, you don't speak French, Italian, Spanish. Do you want to go to London? And I was like, yes. So I end up in his kitchen.
Okay. And then for you, Dylan, how did you end up in that kitchen?
I was working at a place in Melbourne called Blake's Cafeteria on Greville Street, and the sous chef of Nam at the time came in to see his old boss, basically.
Right.
And I happened to have my resume in my bag because I was planning to go to London in the next sort of 3 months. And I said, here's my resume. He's like, oh, mate, I'm just a sous chef. I don't employ anyone, but I'll pass it on. I was like, okay, great. And then the night before I left Australia, he called me and said, actually, I'm the head chef now. You want a job? And I was like, yeah, I can. I'm flying through Thailand. I'll be a month in Thailand, but I can cut it short. Should I come? He's like, no, take the month and then come and see me when you arrive in London.
Wow.
So I rocked up with a suit on and everything. And he was actually off and the sous chef was there. He's like, what are you wearing a suit for? I'm like, it's an interview, isn't it? He's like, no, you got the job. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Did you cook in the jacket in the suit or did
no,
you
they just said, come back tomorrow. You start at 10 o'clock. So I was like,
Oh, my
oh,
God.
okay. So yeah, I found a house, a squat, and then
Yeah.
went to work.
So look, I just want to put everything into context. When Nam had that Michelin star in London, it was one of the most sort of happening restaurants at the time. David Thompson was everywhere, incredibly well known for his food and his love of Thailand. Now, how did you guys find the working atmosphere with Michelin, with David at that time?
Chaotic. David is like a sort of a crazy genius in a way. So he really feeds off chaos. So he would make sure that he came in the kitchen and caused havoc.
In what respect, please?
Well, he would like pull your section apart and make you redo everything at the last minute. He would throw out dressings and curries. He would like walk around yelling at you during service if you were doing something wrong. But then at the same time, he would be making banter and giving like I don't know the word if I don't say giving shit to the head chef and stuff like that, but like fun. So he was like both an asshole and really lovely at the same time.
And tell me the sort of mix of nationalities in the kitchen at that time.
Oh, a lot of Aussie.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have a little bit of British, a mix of French, Italian,
Yeah.
yeah.
German, Austrian.
Yeah. A lot of Europeans.
And
yes.
how big was the brigade?
12?
And
12, 14.
And
14.
it was a lunch and dinner service or just dinner?
Lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner.
Oh, sorry. It was dinner only, but lunch on the weekends.
Right. Okay.
Can't remember now, but we start to do more lunch shift.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
And was it the type of obviously it had the star, well known, and specifically it being sort of Thai cuisine, all the recipes were sort of made from scratch every single service?
Pretty much every single service.
That's
Like-
what I respect him for.
Yeah.
Like everything have to be fresh, every service from the start of the service. So like,
Almost too fresh. Like he wanted us to chiffonade lemongrass to order for every salad.
No.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
one of the
and-
salads we put on one time was a lemongrass salad. So one salad needed like 1.5 cups of lemongrass. So you're there like going nuts.
oh, you feel that? I feel the relish, the namprik, and then we have to
Pound to order.
pound to order and season to orders, and doing that when cook the soft boiled egg to order as well. It's like everything's just happening, and it's like, but it's cool.
So tell me about that menu then. So was it a la carte and tasting menu?
We had a namahan, so it's like a tasting menu. People got to choose their curries.
Yeah.
Chame, if I remember correctly, like you had like 2 curries to choose from, 2 stir fries or 3 or whatever.
I think it's a mix. It's an a la carte as well. People can order a la carte, but if you don't want to think too much about it, you just go with the chef tasting.
And was there a huge amount of pressure? Did you feel that when you were there?
Yes and no. Like
Well, for me, it's just like to make sure that my meal is on time.
Right.
All the times, like the end of night is like prep list that, and in the prep list we have to put down the strategy of how we're gonna make it on time tomorrow.
But the pressure came from within, more so from
the chef.
From the chef.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it was, you wanted to perform, you wanted to achieve, and it was a really tight team. Everyone was really pushing, and you didn't want to let your teammates down. So it was sort of, there was camaraderie there as well as the pressure.
So the most important question of the podcast: how did you two meet?
Well, we're in the kitchen.
And was it a beautiful start of the relationship at the beginning, or did you hate each other? How did it work?
It's like how many hours we spend in the kitchen?
Yeah, 15, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no
getting away.
no getting away and no one else to see. How did it start?
Well, I think, I don't really know how it started, but you used to like give me lollies and stuff in the
Do
middle,
I?
like during service and whatever. But I just remembered the first time I realized that maybe Bo had more than just work feelings for me was when I told you to F off, jokingly, in the middle of like
Service?
Oh, okay.
And well, I was the sous chef and she was just a chef de partie, so of course
Right.
I could say that. And then she did. She went downstairs to the and she disappeared for like 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm like, where has she gone? Like, what's she doing? And then she came back up, and I'm like, oh, did you forget your knives? And then she didn't speak to me for a month.
Right.
And I was like,
a month.
I was like, okay.
I didn't take the joke really well back then.
Wow.
And
But
so
a
I was
month,
like,
that's serious.
I was like, David, what do I do? She's not talking to me. She's like, what did you do? And I told him, and he's like, oh, Dylan. He's like, you have to make her some food. So I was like, all right. So I made her some turmeric caramelized bananas, and I gave them to her, and she's like, too sweet. But then she started talking to me again at least.
Right, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
And are those caramelized bananas on the menu at the moment?
No,
or
not
Oh, okay. Something for the future. So then, if we fast forward to sort of 2008, when did you sort of decide that, you know what, we want to go back to Bangkok and we want to do something incredible? We want to open a restaurant.
When did you decide?
When did I decide? After 2 ambulance rides in London, I feel like my physical cannot cope with what London's asking. Like I still want to cook, but then I can't keep going on like that.
Right.
And I'm ready to have my own business. So I decide to go back and pursue the dream.
So initially, was it just only purely about sort of Thai cuisine? Did you want to modernize it because you had so much knowledge from London and from David? Was it for it to be more sort of comforting? Was it high end? How did the restaurant take shape?
Well, I feel like I have a lot of a great foundation from David, but it's his interpretations.
Right.
From all his research, and he's like have such a great knowledge on like Thai cuisines from the books, like memorial book or any like ancient book, and I want to explore like on myself, like without his interpretations,
Right.
and see what will happen. So are we looking at high end from the beginning, maybe?
Well,
because
I
we
mean,
sort
at the
of-
beginning, it was going to be a Western restaurant.
Right.
That's true as well.
And I was like, okay, I'll come and help. But after a year, I want to go and cook Thai food again.
Okay.
And then we were traveling around Bangkok like every other day, just looking at places for rent.
Okay.
And then this house became available. And I was like, this feels like a Thai restaurant. I'm like, yeah, totally agree. Let's do a Thai restaurant. So that's sort of
How it started.
that's how it started, yeah. And then we
Yeah.
went traveling for 6 months around Thailand and eating in all the different regions and provinces and just exposing ourselves to different types of Thai cuisine.
I think it started off as a high end because I'm sort of over the Thai food that they offer as a high end Thai back then.
Right.
Like especially in the
Hotels.
hotels atmospheres, because it's like really compromised, really bastardized.
Well, you had great food in really crappy locations.
Wow.
Or you had beautiful restaurants with crappy Thai food. There was none mixing the both.
Okay.
Really,
Yeah.
I don't feel.
That's really interesting also, but because, you know, you've had that craziness in London to then have the I think the travel thing is really important, that 6 months to sort of re-educate yourselves again on the different provinces and regions and ingredients and so on and so forth. But I'm surprised to hear you say that you didn't have such sort of great high-end food at that time. So that's what sparked it to go into high-end straight away?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say.
And the
Because
fact that everyone said we couldn't do it.
But take me
That-
through that.
that-
Why did people initially sort of say to you that you couldn't do it?
they're just like, we are trying to sell ice to Eskimos. Yeah, and then just like the price point that we have, the menu format and everything is like so new to Thai food in Thailand
At that time.
at
yeah.
that times. Yeah, we did like a chef tasting menu for 1,500 baht, and everybody is like, you cannot do that. You cannot do it at that price. It's way too high for like any Thai restaurant. And I was just like, but I wake up at 4 a.m, pound your curry, squeeze the coconut creams, among other things, and you not only pay for the cost of the ingredient, you pay for the cost of my research as well. And you pay the cost of the labor work that we put in. We don't use blender, we don't use like RoboCook for curry paste. So like it's worth this much and we want to sell at this price.
Yeah. And at the time, like people were paying 2,200, 2,500 for just a steak in a restaurant, but they weren't paying like 1,500 for a Thai meal.
So look, take me through. If I was a fly on the wall on on the opening day of of that actual day, how was it?
You will be deaf because we're just yelling at each other.
Well, it was just the two of us actually. So when we first opened, we didn't have a team. So it was, in my opinion, some of the best food that Bo.Lan ever cooked because we were just hands on everything and we were running around like crazy. I think 2 a.m. the night before, we were still scraping paint off the walkway in the dining room and stuff like that. And then we were cooking. I think the menu was quite small because the kitchen was sort of just put together with secondhand kitchen equipment at the time. And we just went, right. We did stuff that we had done previously a little bit, but then at least 60% of it was stuff we'd never done before. So we were like, oh, how should this taste? And it was like a real process of working out what our food identity was.
And was it friends and family that you invited, or was it paying customers?
Oh, we have a lot of friends and family before the paying customer.
Yeah. And what was their feedback?
If you ask my mom, what would she say?
Well, I never really enjoyed cooking for Bo's mum
Or family.
in that matter, because her stress levels amp up the moment they walk in the door,
Right.
which is always fun.
Right.
And then if we make one minor mistake or something's not seasoned correctly, Bo's mum, every morning I saw her for the next 3 weeks afterward, would remind me of the fact. Dylan, that green curry was too salty. Yeah, I got it the first 50 times, thanks.
But then after a few months of operations, can I ask you about how did the first media or the press, how did they take it when they started sort of reviewing you?
I think we were really lucky, yeah. Like we weren't open that long, maybe 4 months, and then Bangkok Post did a huge full-page article about us.
Oh, amazing.
And then, like, almost the next day, we had bookings. And then we had other press coming in saying, hey, what are you doing? And then it was just like an avalanche from then and all the way through until
And they'd be really nice to us. Like
Yeah.
you remember Austin Bush from Lonely Planet back
Yeah.
then? He because he lived in Thailand for so long, so he understand all the ingredient that we try to sort and then put in the dish. And he's like, oh, you got this and you got that in this, and he get like really excited, and that also helped a lot as well, I think.
Yeah, and Austin's just the guy who was famous for like, I'd never pay for Thai food. Because he's like, he lived in Thailand for so long, he knew how good the street food was and the local food was. He traveled extensively in northern Thailand, southern Thailand. And then he's like, oh, actually, this is really good. I would pay 1,500 baht for this.
Oh, well, so,
Yeah.
so that must have been extremely exciting and refreshing to also know that
was
your
vindication as
hard
well, yeah.
work from all those years, you know, you've really sort of pushed the boundaries, you know, because it's almost as if you were the sort of very, very first modernized, real Thai restaurant in Thailand.
Yeah, I think we were to be honest, I think we were one of the first to go out and say, look, we're doing Thai food as it ought to be served, and we're not going to change it for what you want for the customer. We're going to make it how it should be served, and if you don't like it, then that's bad luck.
Unless you have the dietary requirement.
No, but we cater to everybody, but
Right.
we're not going to change a dish.
Sure.
Like ever. So that was always, and that was challenging because like at the start we felt like Marco Pierre White because we were kicking people out of the restaurant.
We're not kicking them out. They just get out and leave.
On several occasions, we removed all their food from the table and said, please leave. And on another occasion, you started throwing rice at a customer and said, get out. Get out, bad
Okay,
demons.
so now we need to talk about those incidents. First of all, can you tell me what would have sparked, you know, a reaction from yourself to kick out a customer like that, for example?
Most of the time because they're rude to the staff.
Right.
That's true.
Okay.
When
Most
they
of the time.
rude to
Fair enough.
my
Like if you have
staff.
criticism about the food, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Whether we agree with you or not doesn't matter, but we'll take it and, okay, fine, that's your opinion. But if you're rude to our staff, like, forget it.
Yeah. And then, Bo, with the rice that you threw at this customer, was it raw rice or cooked rice?
I didn't throw the rice to the customer.
You
I
threw it after him.
No,
It was raw?
I count the money on their tables because the incident is about the rice. We have two rice to offer, and one it doesn't cook properly. So I decide not to serve that one, come back to the table and offer him like we have this at the moment. If you want to have another one, you have to wait another 15 minutes because it doesn't cook yet. And we cook
He'd already had it once earlier in the meal and then it
Yeah.
finished, so we cooked a new batch.
and then it's go back and forth, back and forth. I try to be nice and calm. And then he just like, fine, I'm not going to pay for this like dinner. So I just grabbed the cash from the cashier drawer, all the 100 baht banknote, the equal amount of what he have to pay, and I count one by one, 100, 200 like that to the amount, and I just like, fine, I pay for your dinner tonight then, and can you please leave now?
Nice.
Yeah, and after he walk out, I start throwing the rice to make sure all the bad auras is go away with
So
him.
you throw raw rice to appease the spirits.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, but that happened once,
Okay.
and I learned to calm down more.
Oh, really? Good to know.
So then the other thing, which I think is also phenomenal and outstanding, number one, the accolades that you've had over the years. So, you know, Asia's 50 best female. Is it, again, congratulations. The Michelin star. You know, it's been almost like back to back. Were you expecting that in the very beginning, these accolades at all?
No, I don't think it initially, no.
The best 50 came with a surprise.
Way out of left field, yeah.
And this first year that they come into Asia, and then the best female chef is just like as good as other female chef in the it's like, and it's like, is it real? Yeah, so that really surprising.
But did that sort of give you even more sort of bookings and a wave of media that you weren't sort of expecting?
Yes, it did. I mean, we got busier and busier every year, and it just got crazy. And then 50 Best was great. Then Michelin came to Thailand, and I guess that helped the dining scene in Bangkok as well.
Right.
But the thing that really pushed the restaurant to like its breaking point was the Netflix show. Like literally the day after that came out, we had a 3-month waiting list.
Yeah, we have to revamp the reservation system, the new protocol on the SOP, how you take the phones and not to piss anybody off. And
3 months.
3 months away. And the waiting list was a full restaurant long too. Like we could have filled the restaurant
how
twice.
big's the restaurant, first of all?
It was 45 seats.
So
50
45 seats for 2 seatings?
No, we just
Or
did
just
one.
for dinner?
Just
But still, like
one and a bit.
we did 60 covers. So.
But so I mean, that's a serious amount of pressure, not just for you guys, but also for the team overall, and the different types of people that were now coming through the doors.
Yeah. Well, I think the big difference is with the Accolades and the Netflix. The people who come from Netflix actually know what you're doing because they watch the show and we talk about what we were doing. They understand the philosophy more. Whereas people coming in from the Accolades are just coming, a lot of them are just coming to tick a box.
Okay.
So I think the expectations from the Accolades and the Netflix viewers are completely different.
But would you say that the cooking style now has completely changed in Bo.Lan from 2008 to now? Or is it still remains very much the same as what you started?
Both. I mean, some things will never change.
I think we keep the principle and the philosophy of what when we start with like cooking everything from scratch or supporting biodiversity of food, of plants, of seafood, and also
Safeguarding Thai culinary heritage.
yeah,
Like that's remained the same.
remain the same. We adding more thing into our cooking with the environmental like aspect. Yeah, we research for more upcycling recipe, like in the old day as well. Yeah, and then add that more onto the menu itself. Just because, like when we first opened, we don't really have our heart and soul into the environment side.
We weren't aware.
Yeah, we just want to do organic, but it's not possible when we open. When time passed by, it's getting better. But one night that we see that pile of plastic bottles at the back of the restaurant after we finished the service, and it's just like, oh my God, this can't go on like this. Yeah. That's how we start like the environmental side. And then we also sort of, like it's not changing the recipe per se, but it's changing the how we deal with things in the kitchens, like the cling films, the bin separations, and hence the upcycling projects.
Yeah. But then to answer the question, yes, the food has changed dramatically in terms of the presentation now compared to, like, if you look at it from 2008 and 2024, the presentation's quite different. But I think it's a natural evolution and it was still contemporary back then. It's still contemporary now, but it's just a little bit more finessed, I guess, now. We tried our best to make it beautiful all the time, but I think as we grew, we also learnt that some certain things are less is more, and so I think the aesthetics of the actual plating has changed the most. But I would say the flavors and the production is the same.
But the other thing that you just touched upon, which I think is I want to sort of discuss it in detail, is the safeguarding heritage, culture, and the food. Why is that important to you?
You go first, you're Thai.
Because without the heritage, you can't go forward. Like when I get asked like, oh, you invent this dish. And it's like, I can't invent anything. I based on what they cooked before me, and I interpret it further, but I didn't just invent it out of the air. And I feel like the heritage is so important. It makes you understand how the food come from, where the food come from, and why they put things together. And then if you understand that, you can interpret it, you can adapt it, you can alter it, you can modernize it even more. But without that understanding, it's going to be another version of bastardized Thai food.
Yeah, and I think as well, by safeguarding the culinary heritage, we witnessed firsthand the cooks coming through our kitchen that they had no knowledge of their own cuisine. They go to culinary school and they learn about French food, Italian food, and they don't know what's in a curry paste. You go, what did you do at school? Oh, we bought curry paste. It's like,
no.
It's like, but that's not learning how to cook. That's just learning how to put ingredients together. So we sort of felt like it's really important to make sure everything's maintained and done properly in order to safeguard that culinary heritage. And I think it's really important because, as we said, like people didn't know the difference between Thai basil and holy basil. It's like, come on, it's not that difficult. The industrialization of Thai cuisine happened 60 years ago, and then people stopped cooking. So I think it felt right.
And it's also important for the biodiversity of
Exactly.
food as well, because a lot of like fruits that was in the old recipes or in the cultures that we've been using, but they don't use anymore. So farmers stop growing them because they can't sell it. Like a lot of things disappears in the food systems or like in the ecologies of like Thai food, just because we don't use them anymore, or our generation or like do not know how to use it. because it's too sour, because it's too bitter. But in the old days, they understand it and they use it properly, like in the recipe. And if we can maintain that, we can safeguard that. Hopefully, the biodiversity size of the fruits and plants is keep going as well.
But would you say now, from the work that you're doing and the work that you've carried out, is that heritage now through the younger generation? Is it being kept alive?
I think, let me answer before you do. I think yes, it is, but I don't know if it's for the right reasons. I think a lot of young cooks coming through now are trying to find the most obscure ingredient to have something different on their plate. They're not doing it to safeguard, and they're actually trying to take that ingredient and say no one else can use it from this farmer, which I think is the wrong way forward.
Agreed.
Because in order to ensure biodiversity, you have to have several or lots of people using it and supporting it.
Yeah, but a lot of things that we use, I'm going to take credit on this one.
Go nuts.
I mean, like somsa.
Yeah.
Somsa is like a forgotten restricted fruit that is really important to Thai cuisines because
in
it's
all the old
almost
recipes.
Everywhere in the recipe. And we come back and they is still available in the market, but it's like really expensive and not many farmers grow it anymore. And if they grow it, they don't know where to sell.
Right.
And then after, like until today, like everybody's have somsa to use now because farmer go back and actually replant the trees, things like that. Or even the edible flower, Thai edible flower like dok sano, dok
Yeah,
khajon.
now that you're in the supermarket.
Yeah, now it's in the supermarket. I was like, and I secretly take the credit for that as well.
Well, I mean, we were finding it. We had to actively search it out, these
Right.
ingredients, to
We
find.
used to forage it
And yeah,
within the
forage.
city.
and like now,
It's
like
available.
housewives can buy it in a packet.
Yeah, but do you know? And the thing is that we were discussing this sort of earlier on, just before we started recording, is that there are so many layers to Thai cuisine. As you said, nothing is made in, or it should never be made in a blender. Those pastes, the skill is that everything is made by hand, and it's almost, as you said, artisan. And that's the beauty about those, extracting those flavors from the herbs, from the lemongrass, the gingers. And I think it's really important to teach that. And that should be actually taught in culinary schools.
Yeah.
I mean, not just in Thailand, but I mean throughout the world. It's really, really key. But the other one that you also have is this beautiful restaurant. Tell me about that.
You go
Ur's
on.
the funky stepchild. It's like Ur's the place we opened because we wanted to go somewhere and drink and eat and not have the formality of
Right.
Bo.Lan. We wanted to, and we also wanted to put our money where our mouth is and say, look, you can do Thai food in a more friendly, casual environment, but still use top quality ingredients. So we're still using all the same farmers and producers we use at Bo.Lan, but we're just doing a more sort of friendly a la carte style menu that's focused more on drinking food, mostly. And we just, wanted to have
But you're
something.
still using sort of the Thai techniques and flavors.
Everything's the same. It's produced in the same kitchen, a lot of it. Like
Right.
we have a production kitchen in Bo.Lan that we produce a lot of the paste and everything and then send it to because the kitchen's tiny.
Right. But how do you see the future of dining within the Middle East?
I think it's only going to get better. I mean, from what I've seen, the progression, even just coming back and forth for the last sort of 3 or 4 years prior to this project, you can see how much it's been elevated at every level. Like there's better high-end restaurants, there's better middle-range restaurants, and there's better street food. Like it's just crazy how quickly this place moves and how fast they can implement something, which I think it'll be one of the places to watch in the future for sure, if not now. I mean, look who's here already. It's pretty special.
Yeah. I mean, it is full on. It doesn't stop. So look, we've come to the quick fire questions of the show. I'm going to ask you both one by one, and ladies first. So I think this might be the hardest question. What is your favorite ingredient?
Chili,
What type of chili?
the hot type.
Super hot type.
Super hot type, like Thai chili.
Okay, Dylan?
Ooh, shrimp paste.
Shrimp paste. Okay. Are you sweet or spicy?
Spicy for sure.
Spicy.
All right. tom yum or papaya salad?
Tom yum.
I have to agree.
All right.
I'm a soup girl.
Yeah.
As of right now, for yourself, what would you say are your top 3 sort of go-to cuisines that you love to eat?
Top 3 cuisines I love to eat: Middle Eastern, Spanish, and Chinese.
All right.
Thai, Italian, Middle Eastern.
Boom. Straightforward.
Yeah.
Who would you say are your top 3 culinary heroes?
Ooh. Well, David Thompson. Well, I have to put David Thompson, Amanda Gell in my list because without them, without me today for sure. And let me think.
David Thompson, Michelle Bra.
Oh,
Ooh,
I love
good
Michelle
one.
Bra as well.
And maybe Marco Godina.
All right.
Marco?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who should I say? So many of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Dylan, I thought you were going to say your mother-in-law.
yeah. She's a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan
Ah,
from Bray.
Dan Hunter.
Wow.
Dan Hunter.
Yeah. Legend.
Yeah.
So now, you can answer this together or independently. What would you say has been the funniest ever kitchen incident that you've seen or been involved in?
Go on.
Okay, so when I was running a service in Nam, David was having a shit fit at the larder section, and he picked up a pestle and threw it at the ground, and it broke and snapped in half and flew across the kitchen and smacked me in the side of the face, which it was painful and whatever. But then I just walked up to David, I really calmly grabbed my lip and said, "David, that pestle just hit me in the mouth."
Mm-hmm.
And then for the next month, everything he tasted from me was perfect. There was never a question. There was never a complaint. It was like, that's all. So I was like, I'll get hit in the pestle any month.
Wow. Cool. Gosh. Must have been quite a massive pestle and mortar as well. For
Well,
it to...
I think only the top sort of
Yeah, but
2 inches.
still,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, yeah, they're
I
big.
mean, they're
and
heavy.
Yeah, it was granite.
So,
And then I guess another one that it's funny in hindsight,
right.
but when it was happening, it definitely wasn't funny. It was early days of Bo.Lan. We were having a pretty big argument in the kitchen about something. I can't remember what it was. It was obviously very important. And I was just wrapping up it was packed down, so I was wrapping up the squid, and Bo grabbed the cling film and started smashing the table
Bench?
and hit the squid, and the squid went all over the floor. So then I went, fine. I picked up the squid and I rubbed it in her face. She turned around and grabbed the dirty water from the utensils and poured it over me. And then I turned around and grabbed the coconut that they were pasteurizing for the end of the night and poured it over her.
Oh my God.
And then she walked out. But during that whole time, the whole staff walked out, actually. They ran away and disappeared while we were arguing.
So it was cleaned down. That happened. So you ended up cleaning the kitchen.
Yeah, well, I cleaned the kitchen again, yeah.
Again, exactly.
And I slept on the couch, I think, for the next month.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, individually, what advice would you give to young chefs?
Don't work with your partner.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Very good
Number
advice,
one.
yeah.
Number one.
Taste your food. Taste other people's food.
That's true.
Just taste.
Yeah, taste it, and also ask for the story behind, like how's the recipe come from, where all the way to like where is the fish come from, as well. So like I think with the younger chef, they really to not only to the chef but to the whole world, if they still want to eat, they really have to be aware of how the food are produced.
Yeah, where it comes from, the provenance of the ingredients. Yeah,
Like
I think
how
it's
the-
lost.
Yeah, what is the pre-harvest, the post-harvest, and like how it was done, how it get to you, in which way. Like a lot of questions like this have to be raised, I think.
And I think another piece of advice I'd give is slow down. Work in brigades, work for other people, work in teams. Don't be any rush to take on senior positions, because you still learn, but you learn different things. Cook with other people and cook as many different cooks as you can, like in different restaurants. Give each one at least a year. That's the polite thing to do, but like move around and travel. And that way you can learn your craft.
Yeah,
because so
absolutely.
many cooks these days they leave culinary school and they're like, I want to be a head chef. It's like, you don't know anything. Like culinary school's like the baseline.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's an apprenticeship, right?
Yeah.
Culinary school. And then when you start your job, that's the bottom of the ladder, right?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. So many young cooks, they just want to get to the top straight away without having that base knowledge about the produce, where it comes from, how to respect it, how to treat it, the different techniques, old techniques, new techniques. So I totally agree with you on those points. Now, what advice would you give to a 16-year-old chef Bo?
To a 16 years old chef Bo. Wow. I would say I would be like calmer to my mom and dad, I think, and like not too like straightforward, and have a better word choice for mom and dad.
I don't know that I could give myself any advice, because at 16 I probably wouldn't have listened.
Right.
But yeah, it would be to listen more.
So then the other thing I wanted to, and both amazing answers, thank you very much. From a social media perspective, if people wanted to get hold of you, which accounts should they be following?
For me, I think the easiest one is Instagram. It's at Bo.Lan Bangkok.
What is my?
Yours is like chef_Bo Songvisava, is it?
Something like that, I think.
I'll put all of those in the show notes.
I'm not
for
sure.
everyone. I'll put all
I
of
just have
that.
to write chef and it comes up automatically, so I don't remember the tag.
Well, look, guys, I just wanted to sort of have a quick recap about the things that we've discussed, because it's amazing to have you here. From your childhood food memories, it's been really, really fantastic, to the types of food you had growing up, to then the different types of education, then Australia for both of you, the traveling, Thailand, London. David Thompson has obviously, been quite an instrumental figure within both of your careers, to then meeting, taking the piss out of her and then not talking to her for a month, to then actually coming to Bangkok and actually opening, your beautiful restaurant, to getting all of those accolades, to then working sustainably, teaching, moving things forward, safeguarding that heritage. I just want to personally say thank you so much for coming on to the show. Please keep inspiring all the young chefs and us chefs around the world, because your story is really inspirational. And I cannot wait to see what you guys are going to do next. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, this is Bo Songvisava and Dylan Jones. If you like the podcast, make sure to follow, share, and subscribe.